Yulong and Mei Mei tearfully reveal heartbreaking truth that leaves all fans shattered. What could possibly be so devastating that it left an entire fandom stunned into silence, hearts pounding as tears flooded timelines across the world, and even longtime supporters struggling to accept what they were hearing? When Yulong and Mei Mei finally stepped forward together, their expressions heavy, their voices restrained but trembling beneath the surface, it became immediately clear that this was not a rumor, not speculation, and not another fleeting headline meant to stir attention. This was something real, something deeply painful, and something that had been hidden far longer than anyone imagined. Hold on tight, the world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. For months, fans had sensed a shift. The smiles felt quieter. The public appearances became fewer. The energy between them, once vibrant and effortless, now carried a subtle weight that only the most attentive followers noticed. Interviews were shorter. Social media updates were carefully neutral. And yet, the fandom hoped, believed, and clung to the idea that everything was fine. Until the night Yulong and Mei Mei chose to speak. They did not announce it with dramatic music or grand staging. There was no spectacle. Just two people sitting side by side, shoulders close yet emotionally braced, as if preparing to relive something they had tried desperately to protect from the public eye. Yulong spoke first, his voice steady at first, then gradually breaking as he acknowledged the truth fans were never meant to hear so soon. What followed was not a scandal, not betrayal, but a story of exhaustion, sacrifice, and the quiet suffering that often hides behind fame's brightest lights. Mei Mei listened, her eyes lowered, fingers clenched tightly in her lap. When she finally spoke, her words came slowly, carefully chosen, as if each sentence carried the weight of months of silence. She spoke about nights filled with uncertainty, about moments when strength was required simply to stand up and smile, and about the painful realization that love alone does not shield two people from pressure, misunderstanding, and relentless public expectation. Her voice trembled, but she did not cry at first. It was restraint born from too much practice. Then came the moment that shattered fans completely. Yulong admitted that they had reached a point where protecting each other meant enduring pain quietly rather than sharing it publicly. He spoke of guilt, of feeling powerless while watching someone he cared for struggle under the weight of expectations she never asked for. Mei Mei finally broke then, tears spilling as she confessed that pretending everything was fine had cost her more than anyone realized. The silence between their words was louder than any headline. Within minutes, clips of the reveal spread like wildfire. Fans watched in disbelief, replaying the video again and again, searching for reassurance that never came. Comment sections filled with heartbreak, confusion, and overwhelming empathy. This was not a dramatic breakup announcement or a shocking betrayal. It was far more painful than that. It was honesty. Raw, unfiltered, and devastatingly human. What shook fans most was not just what was said, but how it was said. There was no anger between them. No resentment. Only sadness, respect, and a shared understanding that some truths hurt precisely because they are rooted in care. Industry insiders later revealed that this decision to speak openly had been debated for weeks, delayed again and again because neither wanted to cause pain to those who supported them so fiercely. As the video ended, Yulong reached for Mei Mei's hand, not for show, but instinctively. It was a small gesture, but it carried everything words could not. It told fans that whatever the future held, what they shared had been real, deeply felt, and never a performance. That single moment alone sparked endless discussion, with fans torn between grief and gratitude for the honesty they were given. In the days that followed, the fandom transformed. Instead of speculation, there was reflection. Instead of anger, there was compassion. Fans shared messages of support, acknowledging the courage it took to reveal something so personal in a world that demands perfection at all costs. Many admitted that the story resonated far beyond celebrity culture, touching on the universal struggle of holding on while slowly breaking inside. And so, what Yulong and Mei Mei revealed was not just a heartbreaking truth about their journey, but a reminder that behind every polished image are real people carrying invisible burdens. Their story did not end with answers, but with understanding. Not closure, but honesty. And for fans, though hearts were shattered, there was also a quiet respect born from witnessing something rare in the entertainment world. Truth spoken not to shock, but to finally breathe. What was the truth that Yulong and Mei Mei had been carrying in silence for so long? And why did they finally choose this moment to reveal it to the world, knowing full well it would shatter the hearts of millions who believed in their story? For months, fans had sensed something was wrong. The smiles looked rehearsed, the appearances grew rare, and the warmth that once radiated so effortlessly between them seemed replaced by a quiet heaviness that no camera filter could hide. Yet no one was prepared for what unfolded when they finally stood together, trembling, under the unforgiving lights of a press room that fell into stunned silence the moment their expressions told a story before a single word was spoken. Yulong spoke first, his voice steady but fragile, the kind of calm that only comes after a long internal battle. He admitted that behind the public image, behind the supportive interviews and carefully timed appearances, there had been pain neither of them had been ready to confront openly. Mei Mei stood beside him, her hands clasped tightly together, eyes glistening, nodding silently as if every word was already etched into her heart. This was not a dramatic performance. This was the raw exhaustion of two people who had reached the end of their strength and could no longer carry the truth alone. As the confession unfolded, it became clear that the heartbreak was not caused by betrayal, scandal, or rumor, but by something far more devastating in its quiet reality. They spoke of long nights spent apart, of emotional distance created not by lack of love, but by relentless pressure, unrelenting schedules, and the weight of expectations that slowly eroded the space where joy once lived. Mei Mei's voice finally broke as she admitted that smiling for the cameras had become harder than anyone knew, that pretending everything was fine felt like losing pieces of herself day by day, and that love, when suffocated by silence, can become a source of pain rather than comfort. The room held its breath as tears finally fell, unrestrained and unhidden. Yulong reached for her instinctively, his own composure collapsing as he confessed that watching her suffer in silence was the hardest thing he had ever endured. He spoke of guilt, of regret, of wishing he had spoken sooner instead of believing strength meant endurance. His words echoed through the room like a confession not just to fans, but to himself, admitting that sometimes love is not enough when the world demands more than two people can give. Fans watching the live stream broke down alongside them. Social media flooded instantly with messages of disbelief, sorrow, and heartbreak as clips spread like wildfire. People who had grown up watching their journey, who believed in their story as a symbol of hope and perseverance, suddenly found themselves grieving something deeply personal. Comment sections filled with tears, prayers, and words of support, many admitting they felt as though they had lost something precious from their own lives. What shattered fans the most was not the revelation itself, but the honesty with which it was delivered. There was no blame, no anger, no bitterness. Only sorrow, love, and a mutual understanding that sometimes the bravest decision is not holding on, but letting go with compassion. Mei Mei looked directly into the camera and thanked fans for loving them so sincerely, apologizing for the pain the truth might cause, and asking for kindness as they stepped into an uncertain future. In the days that followed, the entertainment world stood still. Headlines described the revelation as one of the most heartbreaking confessions in recent memory, not because of scandal, but because of its humanity. Fellow actors shared messages of support, industry insiders spoke quietly about the invisible cost of fame, and fans began reframing the narrative not as a tragedy, but as a moment of rare emotional courage. And yet, even as the shock slowly settled, one truth lingered above all else. Yulong and Mei Mei did not lose each other in anger or betrayal. They faced the truth together, tears shared, hands held, voices breaking in unison. Their story did not end in bitterness, but in honesty, respect, and a love that refused to turn cruel even in heartbreak. For fans, the pain was real, but so was the respect. Because sometimes the most devastating truths are also the most necessary ones, and sometimes the strongest love stories are not defined by staying, but by having the courage to stop pretending when pretending becomes too painful to survive. What was the truth so devastating that even the strongest fans struggled to finish the video without tears, and why did Yulong's voice break the moment he tried to explain it, as Mei Mei sat beside him fighting to keep her composure, knowing that once the words were spoken, nothing would ever feel the same again. The revelation did not arrive with dramatic music or sensational headlines, but with silence, the kind of silence that feels heavy, suffocating, and unmistakably final. When Yulong and Mei Mei appeared together, seated closely yet emotionally miles apart, fans immediately sensed something was wrong. Their smiles were absent, replaced by expressions of quiet exhaustion and emotional restraint, the kind that comes only after long nights of difficult conversations and harder decisions. This was not a performance. This was not a publicity moment. This was a confession. Yulong spoke first, his hands clasped tightly as if holding himself together. He explained that for a long time, they had chosen to protect fans from a truth that was deeply personal, not because they wanted to deceive anyone, but because they needed time to understand it themselves. As he spoke, Mei Mei kept her eyes lowered, nodding gently, her breathing visibly uneven, her strength wavering with every word. Fans watching live described the atmosphere as unbearable, as if the air itself had grown heavier with each passing second. Then came the truth. Not shouted. Not dramatized. Delivered softly, painfully, honestly. They revealed that behind the smiles, behind the appearances, behind the carefully curated public moments, they had been carrying a shared struggle that slowly reshaped everything they believed about their future together. It was not a sudden break. It was not a single event. It was a long process of realization, of facing limits they never expected, of loving each other deeply while understanding that love alone does not always fix everything. Yu Long admitted that there were moments he blamed himself, moments he felt powerless watching someone he loved carry pain he could not remove, and moments where staying strong became more exhausting than breaking down. His voice cracked when he spoke about the guilt of being unable to protect young Mei Mei from the emotional weight they were both carrying, and for the first time, fans saw him not as a public figure, but as a man confronting loss in slow motion.